We had to take a break because Tracy became emotionally overwhelmed with the feelings that she's getting today, which we will go into. You know, if you've seen the previous videos, you know where we've come from up to this point. Instead of rehashing all of that, what we're going to do is just skip ahead and go to the chase and say what we're going to do today. Today's goal is to wrap up the actual physical tour of the situation, the crime scene. However, we're going to take Tillie's final walk. We're going to start at the club where she was at watching the show that night. We're going to walk along her actual route. We are going to walk to the point of where the kitchen used to be. We will reenact the area or go through the area where she was removed from the kitchen and drugged, and we will follow that route all the way to the point of where she was killed. And we will be monitoring the environment as well as what Tracy is experiencing along the way. Once we finish that and regroup ourselves, we're going to go to the actual location of Tillie's grave for a final reconciliation for what we've been doing to try to get the real story out for Tillie Smith.
Now, you said monitoring the situation en route and also at the cemetery. What instrumentation will you be using to monitor the situation?
Today we're primarily going to be looking for emerging EMF. And the reason being is because emerging EMF is the primary symptom of a paranormal event. Not only is it indicative of something paranormal occurring, it's also indicative of, in the case of a medium, their information coming to them.
Yeah.
The same mechanic is involved in both types of phenomena.
Now, EMF, what's EMF again?
Electromagnetic fields, and what we're looking at specifically is very low frequency electromagnetic fields that tend to look almost like a biofield type stuff. I mean, we get things that look like heartbeats, we get things that look like brain waves, we get a mix of things that we can't come up with any explanation for in the environment to generate them.
So there's a big distinction between the waves that you get from ordinary electrical kinds of areas versus what you're talking about, the bio kind of impulses.
Exactly. Normally when you're around an industrial area or a home, the frequencies of EMF that you have in a common household are 60 hertz, and it's very solid, it's very rock solid. There's no, you know, that's what makes clocks accurate, it's the fact that it's 60 cycles. So what we're seeing is something completely different. It's a waveform that almost looks like a heartbeat when you look at it. So it's a completely different type of waveform associated with this activity. And I believe that it's almost like a fingerprint for the ID of a disembodied spirit or a disembodied consciousness is what I try to call it. Because even though they're very similar looking, there are differences. There are, you know, minute differences in each of the waveforms that we've tagged along with specific different.
Now, you had another kind of an instrument with you, which I just asked about. The one that records the EVP or the electrical voice phenomenon of whatever kind of spirits might be in the area.
Right.
Will you be using that as well?
We're not going to be using that today because primarily our focus today is going to be in Tracy's interaction with the route and the environmental changes around her with electromagnetic frequencies. We're specifically looking at her and her EMF and the environment's EMF. There's a correlation between, obviously, mediums and the information emerging. And what will also be interesting is that we do have people that will be walking with us. It'll be interesting to see what their personal experiences were along the way, or if they felt or noticed anything.
Okay.
So we're doing kind of a subjective amount of testing with this, and we're going to be doing some actual, you know, objective testing on it. Now, obviously, Tracy's no longer double blind in the details of the case, like she was on the first evening.
Right, like I was before. You know,
Yes,
before I didn't know anything about the case, so it was, you know, the information that I was getting about the case in the beginning. I didn't know if it was true or not. I was just telling him what I was getting, and then he had to validate what I was telling him.
So we do have a group of people that will be accompanying us, local people in the area who heard about this event taking place, and they'll be with us. So you'll be seeing them on camera as we move along. So where do we go next, Dave?
Well, next we're gonna head down to where the old club used to be, where she was that night, that fateful evening when she left. And
Okay.
we'll pick up and start from there.
All right, well, here we go.
So,